Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can implement MVVM, Retrofit2 and Recyclerview along with I'll show you how you can use the glide library in Java. So let's get started by adding some packages, what we need in our project. So I'm adding few packages just to keep the code separate. Now we need to add some uh, dependencies. So let's add those dependencies. First of all, we need for retrofit. Yeah, this one retrofit2. We need one for Recyclerview. We need glide. Yeah, second one. Now we need one dependency for the converter, JSON converter for our retrofit. Yeah, this one, retrofit2. Now one more dependency as we are implementing through the MVVM, so we need the lifecycle extension as well. So let's add that too. There you go. Apply and OK. Once our project will sync, then we'll start. So now we need to add some classes. So let's add those classes what we are going to implement. So we need a retrofit instance for a network library. These two we are going to use for making the API call through the retrofit. One class we need for our view model. And why I'm keeping the name as the movie, because we are going to make a API call which will download some images and a name of the movies. I already found a API, I'll show you. So let me create few more classes. And we need one more separate package for the adapter. So as we are going to use Recyclerview, so we need to create a separate adapter. So I'm keeping that in the separate folder. So let's create our adapter too. Yeah, so these are all the classes we are going to implement. So now start with our view. So instead of text view, we need here a recycler view. So let's add a recycler view and remove whatever we don't need. Give it ID as a recycler view. That's all for this activity. Now let's go to first of all our retro instance class, and this is the API which we are going to make. So let's copy this URL and put it here. As we are going to hit this URL and download that JSON, and then we are going to display that data on our recycler view. So let's keep it in the as a base URL, but the last part we need to use in a different class. So let's comment it out and keep it aside. Now let's create a separate variable for a retro instance for a retrofit. Now we need a static function which is going to return the retrofit instance. So this is the simple singleton and here we need to pass the base URL. And now we need to add the converter, as we added a dependency JSON converter. So we need to use that JSON converter here. So if you don't add that dependency, then here you will see some errors. So that's the reason we added the JSON converter here. You can use some other library as well for converting like Moshi, but I prefer to use the JSON converter. And now this will simply return the instance of retrofit. So that's it for this class. Now go to our interface API service. Now implement it. So as you see, like that API is the get API. So we are going to implement get. It's not the post, it's simple get. And that is returning the list. So we are going to create a model class that will be the movie model, as we already created, but we'll implement it later. So let's pass that movie model here. Give it a name, uh, any name, whatever you want, like get movie list. You can give any name of your choice. And here we need to pass the second parameter inside the get block, which we have commented here. So just pass this value from there. There you go. Now it's showing some error. I think we need to import something. Yeah. Now we need to import. There you go. So that's it for this class as well. So now let's go to our retrofit. Why it is showing error? Okay, yeah. So that's it for this class. Now let's go and implement our view model or a movie model, not the view model, just the movie model. Let's create a constructor. For this is simple model class. It is going to have two parameter. I think title we can say, and another parameter is we have, okay, we just have three parameters. We don't need a ID, so let's ignore it. We can create second parameter as a image. Now we need a setter getter for this, so and we need to pass it in the constructor as well. So let's add it in the constructor. Yep, simply we're just creating setter and getter for this. There you go. And we need to set these variables inside the constructor as well. That's it for this class, and let's go to implement our view model. So let's first implement our view model. So we need to extend it with the view model. Now we need to create a constructor. Now let's create a separate function which is going to make the API call. So from here we are going to call our retrofit. We'll make the API call. So I'm giving this name function as a make API call. You can give any name. So now we need to create some instance of, we need to call API service. So we need to initialize it and get the instance of retrofit. Retrofit instance dot get retro client. Then API object of API service and the function we created inside it. And we need to enqueue it. So we are not seeing enqueue. So this is very common mistake which we usually does. So the call object, it in the import you can see it is calling from the telecom package. So just keep it in mind. It should not be from the telecom package. We need to import it from the retrofit2 call. So if you don't see enqueue function, then check the package name here. This is a very common mistake when we import packages. There you go. So when API will be successful, here we are going to get the call. And now we need to create an observer live data. So let's create that so that we can, when we get the response from API, we just inform our activity which is going to observe this live data, and they can update the recycler view. So let's create that. We need to initialize it in the constructor itself, or it's your choice wherever you want to initialize. It's not mandatory to initialize in the constructor. I'm creating a separate function which is going to return this live data. And that's it. So our view model is almost ready. Yeah, we need to call it when we got the response. So let's send the post value and send our response dot body. In case API got failed, then we need to simply send null so that we don't display anything on Recyclerview. So that's all for our view model. Now let's go to our main activity and call this view model. First of all, we need to initialize our Recyclerview. So let's do that. Copy this ID and initialize it. Find view by ID and pass the name. Now we need to set the linear layout manager to our Recyclerview. So I'm going to use the grid layout manager as this is movie images, so I'm going to use the grid, and we are just going to use the two columns, so that's why I'm passing it to. And now we need to set our adapter. So we already created a class, but we haven't implemented our adapter. So let's initialize it here, and then we will write the code for our adapter. Currently it's showing because it's not extended with the view model or adapter. So let's implement our adapter now, and then we'll go back to our activity. So let's complete this code. So it should be recyclerview.adapter, and now we need to pass view holder and there you go. And now simply implement these three functions in our class. And now we are creating another view holder, our on view holder class. So let's create it. Now let's change our default view holder to my view holder. and here simply call super with the item view. Now we need how the data is going to look like, or how the view is going to look like on Recyclerview. So let's create a separate layout for each row, and I'm going to use frame layout instead of linear layout. There you go. And simply I'm adding here one text view and one image view. That's all we want. We are going to directly display an image on the title which we have in the API. So we just need a text view for that. So I'm just setting the color, size and style. And most important, we need to pass the ID which we are going to use in our adapter. And here we need to create a constructor for this adapter so that we can get the data and the context from the activity. So we need two parameters here. One is context and another one is the list of data. So list of movie model. Those two parameters will be passed from the activity. And we need another function in case we are not passing the data from the constructor, then we can set it explicitly. So like we need to refresh a list or many more purposes. So adapter every time need updated data, so we can set using this function. And when we get the data, at that time we need to call notify dataset change. This is the function which always refresh our list view or the recycler view. Now in this function we need to inflate our view. So what layout file we have created, so we need to inflate it here. So here we need to pass our layout file name. So we gave it as a recycler row, so just give it here as it is. Let's call our views here. And this get count function will return the number of items we are displaying on Recyclerview. Here we need to set the value from our list. Similarly, for image view, we need to use the glide library to display the downloaded image. So here we need to implement glide now. So see now. So this is the image URL we need to pass. And we need to apply how it's gonna look like. Yeah, so our adapter is ready now. Now let's go back to our activity and use it. So we implemented it like two parameter we need to pass. One is context and second is list. So let's create an instance of list as well. We are just passing it simply. Now here we need to call our ViewModel Observer. So let's see how we can complete this. So I'm simply initializing my view model. Let me declare it. And once that initialization is done, then we need to call it observer and keep listening that. So we need to keep observe that observer, the live data. So every time if in the live data there will be any change, then we'll get the call here in on change. So here we just need to set the data to our adapter. Yeah, I think that's all for. Okay, we need to set the data in our variable as well. We don't need this here. Yeah, so we are good for now. If in case data is null, then we can simply show no result found text view on the screen. So let me add that text view as well. So in case we are not able to make the API call due to some reason it got failed, at that time we don't have anything on list view. So at that time we can show no result found. So let me set that text view here and make its visibility to visible here if there is no data. When in case we have data, that time we need to hide it. And let's set the but default visibility to gone so that we don't see anything. Okay, that's all I think. Oh yeah, one more important step we forgot. Since we are using a MVVM view model, so we need to add these two lines compile options in our Gradle file. So don't forget to these, otherwise you will see some errors or maybe a crash in your application. So set the compatibility for your compile and the target SDK versions. That's it. And now sync your project. And we are, I think, missing one more thing. We need to add the internet permission in our manifest. So let's add that too. So since we are making the API call, making the network call, we need that permission in our manifest. So let's run our project and see. We are able to run it, but we can't see anything for now. I think we are missing something. Let's see what we are missing. Okay, so we call view model, but we did not call make API call. Okay, I found it. We did not call make API call function, so let's call that view model dot make API call. So technically we are not calling any API. Let's rerun it and see. There you go. So we are successfully able to implement it. We can see the title on each image, and we are able to successfully download the images as well from the API. Now let me change the grid to 1. Currently we are seeing 2. Now it is showing on a 1 each. We can change that number and we can see that number of columns. Now let me show you the click listener on a Recyclerview, how you can implement the click on each item. So I'm declaring a interface and I'm defining a function inside it on movie click, and it is going to pass a movie model object. So we are going to take it as an input in the constructor. Let's define it. And inside our on view holder, on bind view holder, we need to use this item view dot set on click listener. There you go. And here we need to call our click listeners and the function inside it and pass the value what it is needed. There you go. That's it for handling the click of each row. Now go to our main activity and pass our listener from here. So we need to implement it here in our main activity, or you can use anywhere in your project. I add it and pass this, and once that a user will click, then we'll get the callback here. So I'm showing just a simple toast here. So item click and the movie name. Dot title. That's it. Let's run it and see. So let's click it. Okay, you can see now. So as soon as I'm clicking on a item or a movie name, you can see that click listener is getting called. Let me change it back to 2 now and see your listener work or not. Let's run it. There you go. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe and share. Thank you.